Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, my name is Andrea and I'm a music photographer based in London and I do videos mostly about that. So for this video, I thought that I would go a little bit more into detail as... Yes? You want to leave? A little more detail as to what I take with me in my camera bag when I go to shoot portraits and the way that it differs from when I go to shoot concerts. I actually filmed a video about what I take inside my camera bag for shooting live concerts. So go watch that one if you want. It's going to be a bit more of like a complete overview. This might be a little bit more complimentary to that one. This is the sort of video that I would find interesting to watch when I was first starting off my career as a photographer. So hopefully if that's the case for you, you also find it kind of interesting. Number one, I think one of the big differences between my camera bag when shooting live versus studio is the bag itself. So when I go to shoot at a studio, I take my pretty camera bag. This is it here. So it's smaller than my other one. The reason why I don't use this one when I go to shoot live gigs is because I basically don't want to damage it too much, because when I go to shoot live, it doesn't get treated very well. And it's not really up to me sometimes how it's gonna get treated. So just to be safe, I take one that's like a little bit more robust when I go to shoot live, and I take this beautiful little thing when I go to shoot portraits. And this one is an actual camera bag. So it has the proper space and divisions for you to fit your camera and your lenses in here. It has a couple zippers here on the side so that I can put maybe your wallet or your phone. But the main compartment is over here. By now I don't have the divider because I don't always use it. It depends on what sort of equipment I'm taking. If I'm only taking one lens, maybe I won't use a divider. I prefer using the divider for when it's like the camera and the lens and the extra lens, I mean. So this is the bag. And also another thing that I like about this bag is that it is very discreet. It's not like an obvious camera bag, and for safety reasons, I kind of prefer having a bit more of a understated bag, because, you know, when you're carrying around equipment, you want to make sure that you don't draw a lot of attention. And I mean, it sucks, but it's the reality, and you won't necessarily be able to tell that this is an equipment bag. So yeah. Also, if you've seen my vlog, my New York vlog that I did, it must be like a couple years ago now, I don't know. I got this during my trip to New York. It's documented on that vlog, and I also got it from B&H, the same place that I buy loads of equipment, secondhand equipment. And I got it from there. It was a gift from my best friend, Nikki. So Nikki, if you're watching, thank you so much. And then the second most important thing, if you know my work, you know that I work a lot with black backgrounds. So when I go to shoot at studios, a lot of the times the studios provide us with a backdrop, you know, like those rolling paper backdrops. And sometimes it's good to call up and check to see what colors they have. It's pretty much guaranteed that they'll have either white or black coloramas. In case they don't have a black colorama, I'll take my DIY makeshift cloth backgrounds. I have two pieces of these. I have shot so many different people, so many different bands with these pieces of black cloth. I basically just bought it from a market here in London. I think I got it from Really Row Market. If you know, you know. You can buy it by the meter, and I just bought, I don't know how many meters I got, 10 meters, maybe more, maybe less. And then I cut it in half. And anyway, it's a very DIY backdrop. But if I need to take it to the studio, I will. And in combination to that, whenever I take my cloth background, I always take these two little things. And this is really strong. I think this is it gaffer tape? It's like the tape that has like a bit of fabric in it. Like, it's really, really strong. And then some scissors. Usually I take ones that are bigger than these, but I can't find my proper ones. So these do the job, kind of. Also, you're supposed to be able to rip them by hand, and sometimes if I'm really strong, I can, but I always take these just for, you know, peace of mind and ease. Maybe I should switch to some black tape, because sometimes when I shoot, the tape does appear on the backdrops, so I don't know why I haven't done that. I've always used the white one. I don't know. I think I'm attached to the black and white combo now, but I should definitely look into some black gaffer tape. And then if this portrait session is not happening at a studio, if it's happening at someone's house, I'll take the black backdrop with me too, because it's safe to assume that most people don't have an available solid black wall or a black backdrop in their house. I think the only people that did was when I went to shoot Truces. I have a vlog of that on my channel if you want to watch. And they had like pretty much everything in their house. They had like smoke machines, backdrops, like everything. So I don't think I took my backdrop, but usually I always do, just to be safe and just to make sure that I can get the solid black background that I like on my photos. So yeah. The next thing that I'll have in my bag is obviously my camera. And I use the same camera that I use to shoot live. And that is my Canon 5D Mark III. I went into a bit of a chit chat about my equipment on my live concert photography, what's in my bag video. So again, I'll link in that below if you want to watch it so I don't repeat a lot of the things that I said. But yeah, this is a Canon 5D Mark III. And I'm currently using the Canon 24-105mm lens, and I love it. I know it's not like the best one out there. It does the job really well for both scenarios, for shooting portraits and also for shooting live, because it has a bit of a range and zoom that helps me frame the photos well, like helps me frame the way that I like framing. And really good quality. It's a little bit wide. It's not super wide. On my other video, I mentioned that I have the 16-35mm lens, and that's, to me, is a bit too wide and it distorts too much. And in case you don't know, the way that our eyes kind of see things is mostly comparable to, I think it's the 35mm view range. So when you have your lens set to 35mm and you look in the viewfinder, now it's blurry, hello. And when you look at the viewfinder, that is kind of very close to how you see things in real life. The proximity, the size, everything, the perspective. So this one starts at 24, so it's lower than 35. So it means it's a little bit zoomed out from what you see in reality, if that makes sense. So it's still a decently good wide-ish lens without distorting as much, and it has a good zoom range, so you can frame things properly, which I appreciate. So yeah, so I basically use the same camera, the same lens for both. One thing that does change, and that I also mentioned on the other video, I don't like taking two big cameras with me when I go to shoot live, especially expensive cameras, because first of all, they're very heavy, they're very bulky. It's hard to keep everything safe because it's such a chaotic environment most of the time. So if I can just focus on keeping one camera super safe when I'm shooting live, that kind of helps me just like be able to do my job a bit better. Because basically my body language, when I only have one camera on me when I'm shooting live, is more so geared towards taking that photo as opposed to taking the photo and also trying to protect my camera. It definitely distracts me a little bit, so I try to avoid it. But when I'm shooting studio, I can take as much as I want. My camera bag, my sophisticated camera bag, is quite small. So if I am gonna indulge, I might take a secondary camera bag with me. But usually the one that I showed you is the one that I take to like normal, more everyday studio shoots. And it's enough, it's fine. But I will sometimes feel creative and take some other cameras with me. I showed you some of them on my other video. In case you don't want to watch the other video, I'll give you a quick rundown of the ones that I usually take with me. Number one being my Instax. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Instax Fujifilm camera. And it basically takes what you would call like Polaroid pictures. And it's really fun if you want to get a little behind the scenes shot of the shoot, or even if you want to shoot the main shoot with it. It has a really unique look to it that I find really hard to recreate with any other camera or even like editing software. I feel like you get a really authentic look with the instant cameras. So sometimes I take this one with me. Little point and shoots. I don't take them as often to shoot studio because I don't know, it's just not the look that we're going for. It doesn't make that much sense, but who knows? If I were to take one, maybe I would take my little Olympus And another good thing to notice on these, what I like to call secondary cameras that I take to studio shoots or even live shoots. And if you know my work, you know that I love using flash. It's like a big part of my brand identity or something. When I get like little analog cameras as well, I always make sure that they have flash on them. And sometimes when they don't have like a built-in flash, they'll have a little horseshoe that you can put a flash on. But you know, if I can avoid that, I will, just for sake of simplicity, of not having too many extra things dangling about, because shooting the things and the people that I shoot, sometimes you don't have a lot of time. The less complicated gear, the better. So for example, my Fujifilm has a little input flash, and so does my little Olympus. And of course, they're quite weak, but it does the job, kind of. So these are fun to take with me on portrait shoots as well. This is something that I don't do when I shoot live. But when I shoot portrait, I always just take my chargers with me and adapters if you have to. First of all, why not? Because when you're there, if you're at someone's house, if you're at a studio, they will have power outlets. So you will actually be able to charge your stuff, and if it's available, you might as well, for peace of mind. If you don't want to buy extra batteries, which sometimes can be a little expensive, you can always just take your charger. And if you run out of battery, if you shoot for way too long or something, because usually the batteries do last like comfortably a couple hours, 3 hours, it's fine. But you know, you can just go for a break, grab a drink, grab a coffee, some water, and you can charge your equipment for a little boost for those final images. So I mean, always take them. On that same note, like I was saying, if you have extra batteries, I mean, by all means, that's even better. Take your extra batteries with you. I always take extra physical batteries for my flash as well, even when I shoot live, because I mean, I go into it on the other video if you want to check it out, but I always have my batteries with me. Another camera that I bring with me sometimes is my vlogging camera, which is what I'm using to shoot right now. It's the Canon G7X Mark II, and I have a little tripod that helps me get better shots. Although I feel like most of my behind the scenes shots are pretty not great angle-wise or anything wise, because I don't have the room in my brain to prioritize getting proper behind the scenes when I'm shooting. So I just usually put it to the side. I don't want it to take too much from the shoot itself, the taking photos part of things. So I just usually leave it to the side, what I like to call passive behind the scenes shots, just like a general overview, nothing too fancy. But there has been a couple vlogs. I think the vlog that I did with Black Honey, and maybe even the vlog that I did with Tess Sparks, I had a friend help me shooting the behind the scenes shots, so you can actually see things happening a little bit more clearer, how things actually are. That was great. So I don't know, I'll link the vlogs if you want to watch it down below if you're curious. In regards to lighting or wardrobe, styling, all of that, I have a really minimal lighting setup, a pretty minimal preference for lighting. I just love using flash. I know like a lot of photographers don't like it as much. The natural lighting is beautiful, and I do love it. But for what I do, I just fell in love with the harsh lines and contrasts of flash. So a lot of the times when I'm at the studio, I don't even, maybe I should look more into it. Maybe it could still help quite a bit to have umbrella lights, the soft boxes, the studio lights in general might still help. But for me, I just usually just use my flash and it's fine. So there's no big notes on that for me right now. Maybe if I do an updated video in a couple years, maybe I'll be more into studio lighting and I'll have more to say about it. But right now, I mainly just use flash. Is this one here? I went more into, focus here. I went more into detail about this flash on my other camera bag video if you want to watch it. So I'm not going to go into it here, but that's definitely always in the back. So I also don't really focus too much on the wardrobe. Unless the people that I'm photographing want it to be a really big part of the shoot, I just tell them to, you know, bring whatever they're comfortable with. And I always remind them that I shoot in black and white most of the time, so it doesn't really matter what color combinations you want to bring in. It's always going to be monochrome. One thing that I do mention though, and I also have a more in-depth video on this topic, how colors affect black and white and how you can use it to your advantage creatively. One thing that I do tell them is that the most significant colors that they can use at a shoot with me when I'm shooting black and white is white, black, and red. Those are the colors that really make a difference when you're shooting, when you're editing. If you want to know more about why that is, you can go watch that video. When you're shooting live, you don't usually have a say, or you don't even talk about their wardrobe. You know, they're gonna wear what they wear on stage. and that's it. Usually it's great outfits, but when you shoot portrait, a lot of the times, because you're planning the shoot collaboratively, sometimes the topic of clothes come up, and that's usually what I tell them: wear whatever you want, and this is how different colors might look on the pictures, so do with that what you will. Maybe bring some options so that we can mess around with the settings and see what looks best. But that's not really usually my area of expertise. I just tell them what I just told you, basically. So yeah. From the top of my head, those are the sort of things that I bring with me in my camera bag when I go to shoot portraits. Let me know what you thought of the video, if you have any questions, if you would like me to elaborate on any of the things that I spoke about, if you want me to do a specific video about any of the topics that I mentioned, I'll be more than happy to. Just let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much again to my patrons. You guys keep me motivated, and it's lovely to have your support. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!